Charmander, the lizard Pokemon, the fan favorite of the Kanto starters and the one who I'm predicting to be the most challenging of them to play through the game solo with. Welcome, I'm exceptional and I hope you are too. Today we're going to be doing a Pokemon FireRed solo challenge using only a Charmander. Charmander's base stat total is 309, the lowest of the Kanto starters. With only 39 HP, but 60 and 65 in special attack and speed respectively, I foresee Charmander behaving like a glass cannon. We'll outspeed and hit hard most of the time, but we won't be able to take any hits ourselves. Our learn set is going to be another typical suite of starter moves, Fire and Normal predominantly, with two interesting additions of Metal Claw at level 13 and Dragon Rage at level 43. Metal Claw is going to be our savior against rock types in the early game, but unfortunately I don't see much use coming out of Dragon Rage as we get it so late into the run. Through TM and HM, Charmander actually gets a fairly decent moveset. We have type coverage in Fighting, Flying, Steel, and Ground for physical attacks, but only Fire and Dragon for special attacks, which is our higher stat. My prediction is that Charmander is going to find some sticking points in the early game, absolutely blast its way through the mid-game, and then hit arbitrary walls in the late game. We don't get a special attacking move that isn't fire until Victory Road, unless we use a special hidden power. But enough predictions and gabbing. Let's jump into some gameplay and see how Liz does in the early game. It's time to take chances, make mistakes, and get messy! I know that Brock is going to be an issue for Charmander. In FireRed, Brock's Onix has been giving Rock Tomb, which is super effective and lowers the target speed. This is all kinds of bad for our defensively weak Fire Lizard, so I will be clearing every trainer in Viridian Forest. I will be still skipping the Rival 1.5 battle simply because I won't be strong enough to face him immediately and don't want to backtrack later. After clearing the forest and the Light Years trainer in Brock's gym, it's time for the rock-hard leader himself. Brock leads with Geodude. Our only strategy available to us right now is to Metal Claw to victory. From the Geodude, we'd like to see more defense curls than tackles, as I'm hoping to save as much health as possible for the Onix. Geodude goes down without issue, but it's time for the Rock Snake. It hits a Rock Tomb doing 19 damage. Okay. Quick math. 19 damage out of our total 39 hit points means that at full health we might be able to survive 2 attacks, accounting for damage ranges. But with a single tackle from Geodude, we will only ever survive 1. We slug out the last of this fight as I begin considering my options. Onix takes us down, and so far, this is what we know. For our best shot for victory, we need a staggering number of random things to go right. 1. Geodude doesn't use tackle. 2. It's looking like Metal Claw will take 4 hits to defeat the Onix, so we need Onix to miss or use a move that isn't Rock Tomb a minimum of 3 times. 3. Metal Claw has a 10% chance to raise our attack by 1 stage, which would reduce the number of hits Onix takes from 4 to 3. 4. Metal Claw only has 95% accuracy, so we can't miss. 5. We also can't be crit. Oh boy, that is too much luck. I unfortunately think I do need to grind a little. You know how I said I didn't want to go back to fight Rival 1.5? Well, he's the highest experience yield left, and I'm thinking I might need level 15 to do this Brock fight. So I come back to beat him up. I come back at level 14 with enough experience that when I defeat Geodude, I should level up to 15 for Onix. The Geodude goes down and we hit one of our criteria. It didn't use Tackle. We level up to 15 over a damage rounding threshold, and I'm hoping that Onix will now be a 3-hit. It goes for Rock Tomb. Okay, we will survive a couple of these, but Onix now outspeeds us. Turn 2, it uses Bind, and our Metal Claw looks to be in the 3-shot range. Onix uses Bind a second time, and our third Metal Claw takes it down. So that felt a little lucky, but that's exactly what we needed here to avoid grinding wild battles forever. With Brock out of the way, I proceed to the next route where absolutely nothing will stand in Charmander's way. In my previous videos, I've discussed some more technical aspects of the game, like IVs, EVs, and how damage calculations work, but today instead I'll focus more on the rare candies that I collect throughout my run. Starting in Mount Moon, I grab the rare candy from the southeast corner of the first map tile that you enter. That is rare candy number 1. Oh, and of course I grabbed the Helix fossil. That 1 extra tile of movement would just cost too much time. As we come into Cerulean City, the choice that I'd usually have to make here is already solved. There is no way I'll be able to take out Misty at this level. So I head towards Rival 2, but first I walk through the house in the northwest corner of Cerulean to its backyard. Hidden in the flowers here is Rare Candy number 2. Rival 2 is always a scary fight in Generation 3. I've been making sure to defeat many additional trainers through Route 3 and Mount Moon, so I'm a higher level coming into this fight. The Pidgeotto falls without an issue, but it's the Squirtle that's the bigger threat. Our moves do very little damage against it, and it takes down Charmander with 2 water guns. Rival 2 Round 2, I have a different strategy, and yes, I already feel bad about it. We work our way through Pidgeotto as before, but this time it does manage to land a sand attack, lowering Charmander's accuracy. Squirtle comes out, and it's time to spam Smokescree. Hold on. Oh, God, I'm fine. I'm sorry. I think I have a sensitivity to accuracy moves. But after way too many rounds of combat, Squirtle misses all of its moves, and Charmander takes it down. Ugh, yuck. The rest of Rival 2 is an easy cleanup, and it's on to Nugget Bridge, Bill, and though I'm not feeling confident in our ability to take on Misty, I might as well check and see how Charmander will do. Nope. Coming out of the underground 5-6 tunnel just north of Vermilion, I grab the hidden citrus berry in the northwest corner and Rare Candy number 3 in the northeast corner. Our next major encounter is aboard the SS Anne in Rival 3. But something is different about Charmander since our last rival encounter. With the additional trainer battles that I've been doing, Charmander is now level 31 and has access to Flamethrower. We barbecue the Pidgeotto. The Wartortle is now an easy problem to solve with 2 uses of secret power, though I'm curious if Flamethrower, despite being resisted, would have done more damage. Not curious enough to stop Charmander's annihilation of Rival 3, and so we set our eyes back on Misty. We will need to go back to defeat Misty before considering Lieutenant Surge, as we need her badge to use Cut and unlock the rest of the game. And whoosh! The video editing teleporter device 2.1c has sent us back into Misty's gym. Now that we're coming back and are super overleveled, Secret Power one-shot Staryu with room to spare. Starmie comes out, and the ranges we're about to see are still unfavorable for Charmander. We're still doing less than half, so 3 hits for the knockout, while Misty is doing over half to us. I try Flamethrower to test if neutral secret power or resisted Flamethrower is doing more damage. Surprisingly, they are about equal, so I know now that if I go into Blaze range to use Flamethrower, as it will do more damage. Starmie knocks down Charmander, but I'm not done here yet. In the next fight, we see how forgetting to equip the proper berry can easily result in a loss. I would have had this battle in the bag if Charmander had been holding a Persim berry. In the next battle, the keen among you will notice that Charmander is now level 32. I fought the trainer that stands next to Misty with a single Goldeen. I can't remember if this was on purpose or accidental movement, but heck, Mama always said XP is as XP does. Staryu falls again. Starmie is back out, and this time I decide to invest more in Flamethrower. This results in Starmie being burned, which ultimately does that little bit of extra damage that we needed to take it down. With that, the last major challenge Charmander is going to face for a long time is defeated. I debated a little bit about whether to skip Surge and come back later, or go take him out right now. I ended up deciding to take him on now, as despite the extra running around, being able to use Fly immediately after getting it outside Celadon will be worth it. Lieutenant Surge is the first among many to fall to Charmander's mid-game blitz. I made sure to equip a Cherry Berry just in case, but the following is the consequence of having to train so much for Misty. Voltorb and Pikachu are both one-shots. Raichu is out and survives a Flamethrower in deep orange health. It fires back with Thunder Wave, paralyzing Charmander, but that's why we have a Cherry Berry. Now it's just a matter of when will Lieutenant Surge stop wasting super potions and accept his fate. We get a cheeky Paralyze on the final hit because of static. Okay dude, you got me. Our next check-in is on Route 9, where Rare Candy number 4 is hidden in this corner beside Hiker Bryce. In Celadon, after all the normal chores, I come to the rocket hideout below the game corner. Here lies Rare Candy number 5. Also, I decided to teach TM40 Aerial Ace to Charmander, which I picked up back on Route 9. This serves no other purpose than giving me more options for PP management in the upcoming section as we're heading into Erica's gym next. I clear every trainer in her gym, and this leader battle leaves no room for the imagination. Charmander turns up the heat against Victory Bell, and it cannot handle it. Tangela falls as well, and then to the surprise of nobody, Flamethrower burns away Vileplume. This was an easy 4th gym badge. Rival 4 is next, and who knows, maybe that Wartortle of Hills will threaten us a bit. Pidgeotto sure didn't. Wartortle seems to think that setting up with draws is the way to win, and so Liz breaks some bricks over its head and we can take it down as well. The rest of the fight goes as expected, and Charmander cleans up another easy victory. I will be fighting every trainer in Pokemon Tower for the special attack EVs, and chance for Meowth to pick up the TM for hidden power, which I still haven't found. Near the top of Pokemon Tower, just before the Marowak encounter, oh, sorry, spoilers, we find rare candy number 6 on the ground. Given that Charmander's bread and butter move for the foreseeable future is Flamethrower, I decided to make a pit stop back in Celadon. In the game corner, if you have 1,000 coins, you can buy a Charcoal. In Generation 2 and 3, it only boosts Fire-type moves by 10% instead of 20%, but I feel like this boost in damage will be more than worth the cash. With that, our next Toga is Koga target. Our target is Fuchsia City. I take Cycling Road down, and I'll show all of the hidden items that I grab on this route. First is Rare Candy number 7 on the east path, directly east of the 3rd sign from the top. I then grab the Full Restore in the center path, directly west of the 1st sign. Then, on the west path, I grab a PP Up directly west of the 2nd sign from the top. The last item I grab on Cycling Road is down here at the bottom. 3 spaces east from the sign at this ledge that indicates the end of the sloped section of Cycling Road is a Max Elixir. Shiny! I then clear the Safari Zone and all of the trainers in Koga's gym. I decide to teach Sunny Day to Charmander right before the Koga fight. I do this because I'm not 100% sure of the ranges for Flamethrower against Koga, so having an additional 50% damage while the sun's out can't hurt. Koga leads with Coughing. I decide to test Flamethrower's power without the sun. Well, that health bar melted pretty fast. Bye, Coughing 1. Against his muck, I decide to set up Sunny Day. Alright, sun's out, guns out, show 'em what you got. I misclick on Aerial Ace because I enjoy challenges, and it does, as expected, not much. My follow-up Flamethrower does well over half, taking Muck into deep red. As the sunlight fades and I hit another Flamethrower, it seems that the sun was not necessary for a 2-shot here. Muck sizzles away. Coughing 2 is of no consequence, bringing us to Koga's ace, Wheezing. Wheezing hits the field, and I decide to see how much damage Flamethrower will do by itself. A lot! With the sun out, this would have been a 1-shot, but I feel no regret in simply queuing up another Flamethrower and watching my opponent disintegrate in front of me. Another easy mid-game fight for Charmander. Our next stop is Silph, where on the 10th floor behind the Machoke rocket, we find a Carbos and Rare Candy number 8. And an Ultra Ball, but once again I'm ignoring its existence. I decide to take on Rival 5 and see where Charmander stands in this fight. I lead with Flamethrower against his Pidgeot, and it does quite a bit of damage. With the sun out, however, this would have been a 1-shot. It also happens to burn the Pidgeot, so I take my second turn against it to set up Sunny Day, as it faints because of the burn damage. Sunny Day serves 2 purposes against the Blastoise. It not only increases fire damage, but it decreases water damage, making this level 40 Blastoise's water gun. What, water gun? Deal less damage. Brick Break doesn't seem to be doing much, so I switch to Flamethrower, and yeah, that's doing more. Blastoise finishes us off with a critical water gun, but I've gathered some good information in this fight. In my second attempt, I set up the sun first against Pidgeot while it feather dances. Perfect. I take it out, and let's see how we do versus the Blastoise with a terrible moveset. Blastoise protects a few times, and I can't tell if this is an AI quirk or if it's genuinely trying to stall out Sunny Day. I decide to go full Madman on my A button and just spam Flamethrower until one of us goes down. Hey, it worked! Growlithe is next and immediately intimidates us. I have to remember that I'm now at -3 attack after the Pidgeot's Feather Dance earlier because Brick Break does very little. Growlithe's takedown also did a fair amount. Am I gonna lose to this thing? I follow up with Aerial Ace, still not realizing that I should be using Flamethrower, and Growlithe takes us out. I don't like it, so I decide to go and train a bit more against the Rockets and Silph. I clear out a bunch, but not all of the trainers, while collecting all of the vitamins scattered around the building. I come back into the rival fight at level 51, a little higher and over the damage rounding threshold at level 50. Against the Pidgeot, I do the same as before, setting up the sun, and have myself a barbecue. Blastoise just sits there spamming Protect for the first few turns, so I decide to set up Sunny Day a second time right before it hits with Water Gun. Ha ha ha, outplayed. I then keep doing what Charmander does best, hitting flamethrowers until there's nothing left in front of us. Okay, Fire Doggo. This time, Intimidate only takes us to -1 attack, so I decide to go for Brick Break, and I get a crit and it goes down. With the power of hindsight, I really think I should have been using Flamethrower here. Exegute obviously has no shot against Charmander and goes down in one shot. Alakazam comes out, and at our current amount of health, I'm feeling kinda threatened by this thing. But we outspeed and Flamethrower once again gets the job done. Giovanni is a piece of cake, so this time I'll instead show my PC trick. If you deposit and withdraw any Pokemon from a PC, it heals it to full just like when you take it to a Pokemon Center. This allows me to heal Charmander and swap my Lapras for one of my Meowths without having to waste time going back to a center. I can now proceed directly to Sabrina's gym. I again clear all of the trainers in Sabrina's gym for the special attack and special defense EVs before challenging Sabrina herself. The Abracadabra and Alakazam line all have terrible physical defense, so Aerial Ace handles her lead in one. With the experience of my previous runs, I know that Mr. Mime likes to set up, so this is where I decide to set up Sunny Day. Flamethrower takes it down. Venomoth is weak to fire, so yeah, nah. Alakazam also stands no chance against our flaming onslaught. I'm feeling really good about Charmander at this point, but there's still a lingering thought of the challenges that lie ahead of us. Lorelei. I then take our fresh new Lapras down to Fuchsia City to quickly teach it Surf and Strength after giving the Warden his teeth back. This allows us to push the boulder in this dude's house and steal Rare Candy number 9. Alright, and we're off to Cinnabar. I surf down avoiding the trainers and get into Cinnabar Mansion where just past this scientist on the top floor is Rare Candy number 10. I proceed once again to clear all of the trainers in Blaine's gym, mostly for the experience, but if I happen to still be under the max EV cap of 510, I try to get the last few special attack EVs that I can. Blaine's lead Growlithe falls to a Return Brick Break combo. I taught Return over Aerial Ace for the additional base power. Ponyta uses Bounce, which stuns me for a second. I look at my moveset, and apparently the best move to use in this moment is Sunny Day? I mean, sure. Ponyta hits Paralyzing Charmander, and I think that's this attempt over already. I do manage to take it out with 5 hit points and Paralyzed coming into Rapidash. Rapidash then stomps Charmander, flattening our mid-game domination. I attempted one more time, making it all the way to Arcanine, but stood no chance against it after the hits I took from the earlier Pokemon. I need a better strategy. So I decide to come back to Celadon Department Store and grab a second copy of TM28 Dig. I then teach it over Brick Break and head back to Blaine. Against the lead Growlithe, I use, Dig. I have to keep in mind that both the Growlithe and Arcanine have Intimidate, so my Dig will be doing reduced damage as the fight goes on. With that said, though, Dig manages to one-shot Growlithe, a promising start. A critical Dig then handily dispatches Ponyta. Against Rapidash, 2 things become clear. I can now play around Bounce using Dig, but it can also play around Dig using Bounce. Second, and most importantly, I should be wearing a Cherry Berry in this fight. I actually reset early here, as being paralyzed and at 40 health did not bode well for Charmander's chances. This time I come into the fight with a Cherry Berry in case Bounce paralyzes again. Dig one-shots Growlithe. Against Ponyta this time is a pretty fun exchange. I dig, it bounces. I miss dig because it's in the air. It misses bounce because its accuracy is only 85%. I dig again, and this time connect, and it seems like in the last fight the crit did matter. So I switch to return and to add some chip damage, but then end up getting another crit and taking it down. Okay, 118 HP and 2 to go. Using what I learned from Ponyta, I attack Rapidash with a return dig combo. I take it down with 99 health going into Arcanine. I dig, and wow, that did a pathetic amount of damage. Arcanine is super powerful, and with the 2 Intimidates, we're now at -2 attack. We trade attacks back and forth, and it's looking like I might have this. Until Blaine uses a Hyper Potion and then takes the last of our health down. Okay. I think we're almost there. On the next attempt, I'll cut directly to Arcanine. This time we have 112 HP coming into it. We get a critical hit return, and wow, that did a lot, taking Arcanine into Red Bar. I then follow up with a second return, and that was kind of anticlimactic. But a victory is a victory. I can't help but wonder, though, if Flamethrower would have been doing more damage. Giovanni's final encounter as the 8th gym leader did get a bit of an upgrade in Generation 3. A bit. The part that's scary to Charmander is that every single one of his Pokémon have decent to high physical attack and no Earthquake, which we are weak against. Another trait they share is that they're pretty weak in special defense, so Flamethrower takes out the lead Rhyhorn in one shot. Charmander of course wants to play Whack-A-Mole with Flamethrower, and Dugtrio is gone before I can even blink. I decide to take a risk against the Nidoqueen. If I can survive a single Earthquake, I can set up the Sun and guarantee my victory. Earthquake does a lot of damage, but not enough, and now with the Sun out, Charmander melts Nidoqueen. Nidoking shares the same fate as his queen. Rhyhorn does resist fire moves, but pfft, like it mattered. We are now done with the gym challenge, but the hardest gauntlet of trainers still lies ahead. Oh, and of course I defeated every trainer in this gym. As usual, our rival stands in the way of progressing. Rival 6 leads with Pidgeot, and I decide to use a similar strategy to how I handled this battle in Silph. I set up Sunny Day turn 1 and then take out Pidgeot with Flamethrower. I was expecting to see Blastoise next, but out comes Rhyhorn instead. The Gen 3 AI always seems to choose its next Pokemon, prioritizing ones with a super effective move against your Pokemon. But before it gets a chance, Rhyhorn melts to a sun-boosted Flamethrower. Hehehe. Now Blastoise comes out and, ooh, interesting. It sets up Rain Dance to counter my Sun. I hit with Return for okay damage, but suffering succotash, that rain-boosted Water Gun did a ton of damage. I try in vain to let the sun shine in while Blastoise bites us for the knockout. I try again and set up Sunny Day turn 1, then take out Pidgeot and Rhyhorn as before. Against Blastoise this time, I have a lot of fun going back and forth. I hit, it sets up Rain, I make it sunny, it hits for reduced damage. Rinse, and repeat. It takes 3 Flamethrowers to defeat Blastoise. Thanks for the dance! Growlithe comes out, and after our successes with Dig against Blaine, I use it again. I unfortunately don't take it out while it sets up Agility. Now that it's faster, it hits a nasty takedown, and we're only at 22 hit points for the rest of this fight. Oh boy. Execute is free again, but next is Alakazam. Ooh, do we outspeed this thing? I select Flamethrower, and we do outspeed. We take down Alakazam, and we are off to the league. But first, we stop off in Victory Road to pick up Rare Candy number 11 in the very first room. This will be the final Rare Candy that I pick up on a typical run. There are other Rare Candies available in the game, but they're far enough off my route that the time spent getting them would negate the time that they save in grinding. Most times. You may notice that I have a couple extra rare candies in my inventory, and these are from Meowth's pickup ability, a nice side effect of hunting for TM10 Hidden Power, which, by the way, I still haven't found. Oh, the joys of RNG. This is also why I don't rely on the rare candies from Meowth's, they're just a nice bonus. I also reset the puzzle in the first room of Victory Road so I can grab TM2 Dragonclaw for the League. With that, it's time to start our Pokemon League Challenge. I decide to come into it without any additional grinding or using rare candies. I just want to see how Charmander does. Let's do it. Lorelei leads with Dugong, and I want to get the Sun out ASAP. It will half the damage of water moves, and this thing knows Surf. Unfortunately, it also knows Hail, so it counters my Sun on the next turn. The good news is that Flamethrower is doing decent damage. Dugong is ice water, so we hit it for neutral damage, but it is a special wall. The hail continues, and it's bad news from here. Dugong hits the Surf, knocking Charmander into deep orange bar. Add in some hail damage, and we knock it down with only 30 health remaining. Cloyster, on the other hand, is quite frail in special defense, so it gets knocked out in one shot. Lapras comes out, and I know that this is over, but I want to see how much damage Charmander is doing. Quite a bit, actually, using Flamethrower. Lapras does take us down with Body Slam, but I learned quite a bit. One lesson that I definitely learned is that Charmander is not prepared for that, so it's off to grind. I head off to burn down the entirety of Cycling Road. Next is Route 15 east of Fuchsia. I know that I need levels, but it would sure be nice to find TM10 already. Oh, wait, there it is! Nicely done, Meowth number 3. Well, I guess it's back to the league. Now at level 66 and equipped with some shiny new moves, I try again. I test out HP Electric against Dugong and oh yeah, over half. Dugong uses Safeguard, so that's a perfect turn 1 for us and we take it down on the next shot. Cloyster will fall, we already know this. It's just a question of if it protects or not first. Rude. Lapras comes out and, well, I could have played that better. Another reset on the board. For the sake of time, I'll only be cutting in moments where I actually learn things. Firstly, I started using Sunny Day turn 1 against Cloyster because it only uses Protect or Spikes, both of which are useless in this fight. But what we're watching now is me learning the importance of having a Persim Berry equipped for the fight. I continue wiping over and over against Lorelei, slowly trying different strategies and leveling up using rare candies to the next damage rounding thresholds. That brings us to this fight at level 73. Dugong remains a 2-shot with HP Electric and sets up Hail. As I mentioned a second ago, I'm always setting up the Sun against Cloyster turn 1, and here it's just using Spikes. Consistent as gravity. I take it down. Lapras now comes out, and I lead with Flamethrower doing over half. It fires back with a Confuse Ray, but Charmander's Persim Berry strats are too strong. I can be taught. Our next Flamethrower takes down Lapras. Against the Slowbro, I use HP Electric because it will be doing the most damage. Slowbro is the only member of Lapras' team that resists fire. It unfortunately also knows Amnesia, which it uses here boosting its special defense. But at level 73, our damage now is too great and we take it out on the follow-up. Jinx is quite frail and weak to fire, so after finally making it to her, she's an easy one-shot. I'd like to take a moment to appreciate that we started the league at 1 hour and 45 minutes and finally cleared the first member at 2 hours and 2 minutes. Buckle up, it's going to be a bumpy ride. Bruno is up next, and though he can threaten us, I'm not entirely sure how much of a threat he will pose. Onyx resists us but is weak in special defense, and as long as I'm doing enough damage to the others and outspeeding, I should be fine? We start against Onyx with Dragonclaw, and oh, that's not enough. Dragonclaw is the correct choice here, as its effective power of 80 is higher than the resisted Flamethrower at about 71 right now. Onyx hits a Rock Tomb for not a lot of damage, but it does lower my speed. I still outspeed and take it down. Against Hitmonchan, I set up Sunny Day and it hits another Rock Tomb, bringing us to just over a third and lowering our speed again. It outspeeds us and misses a Sky Uppercut, allowing Charmander to take it down. This is looking pretty bleak though. Machamp comes out and yeah, Cross Chop sends us packing. I do see what I did wrong though. In the next fight, I still haven't figured out how to heal, but I set up the Sun turn 1 and take a Rock Tomb. We're still in green health with the Sun out, but our speed is at -1. Flamethrower is now the clear choice with an effective power of 106, and we take it down. Flamethrower takes out Hitmonchan, and we're back to Machamp. We use Flamethrower and shucks, I hate when that happens. We take it out with a crit, but now I don't know if the crit mattered or not. Oh well, 2 Pokemon to go. Onyx comes out and we don't actually knock it down in 1. It quakes the earth for huge damage, taking Charmander down to only 36 hit points. And then the sun fades. Oh boy. I use Flamethrower again, and now that we're in Blaze range, it manages to take it out. It seems like that last Flamethrower was a range that we rolled poorly on. Hitmonlee then comes out, outspeeds, and after all of that, takes us out with Mega Kick. I decide to use 2 rare candies and bring Charmander to level 75 over the next damage rounding threshold. I'm hoping that this guarantees the one-shot on the second Onix and maybe improve the Machamp range? We'll see if the crit mattered after all. I follow the same strategy for the first 2. We use Flamethrower, and oh my goodness, I'm pretty sure it just survived with 1 HP. It fires back with Scary Face, lowering our speed by 2 stages, and now everything outspeeds us. Bruno heals Machamp as I try to maintain the Sun, not thinking it would fail instead of refreshing the timer. And while I fumble with that, Machamp cross-chops us twice, taking us out. Rawr. I end up wiping a few more times against Bruno until I figure out, doy, I have a charcoal in my bag. I equip it and bring it into this fight. The first 2 go down just like always, and as you can see, I still don't one-shot the Machamp. Not every time at least, as we finally take it down with our speed intact and 103 hit points. Onix 2 comes out, and I'm so scared of missing that range that I make a really risky play setting the Sun back up and allowing it to connect with Earthquake, taking us down to 35 hit points. That was unnecessary. We're also now in Blaze range, so there's no way it survives this. Without our speed being dropped, we outspeed the Hitmonlee and clean it up easily with Flamethrower. Bruno is down. Okay, member 2 only took 6 minutes instead of 23 to defeat. Alright, so strangely enough, I don't think Agatha is going to be much of a problem. With the level that we're at, I think as long as I can get Sunny Day set up, I'll be able to sweep. But one way to find out. The first round I use setting up the sun while Gengar confuses me. I'm still holding the charcoal from Bruno so it sticks and we hit ourselves. Lame. This doesn't stall us out though, as Charmander quickly snaps out of confusion and takes out Agatha's lead in one shot. We only lost one turn of sun to confusion. Golbat is out, and Golbat is back in. Arbok is out, and Arbok is back in. The sunlight fades as her ace Gengar hits the field. This thing can seriously mess us up if it hits a hypnosis, so I decide to try my luck with an unboosted flamethrower. And we take it out with a crit. No information gained, but I'm not crying over spilled crits. Haunter is last and of course shares the same fate as its older siblings. Agatha goes down on the first attempt and it's a welcome break to the league's difficulty so far. On the path to Lance, I just want to say that overall I'm pretty impressed by Charmander so far. It had a couple of sticking points in the early game, but it's actually managed to keep a rough pace with Bulbasaur and even Squirtle so far. But I won't count my flames before they spark, so let's initiate our encounter with the Dragon Master Lance. Alright, so here it's the Aerodactyl and Dragonite that scare me the most. Aerodactyl hits hard and is super fast, and the Dragonite has enough bulk and offensive power to finish us off after. The lead Gyarados, however, falls easily to a 4x super effective HP Electric. Flamethrower does an uninspiring amount of damage with a crit. HP Electric would have obviously been the better choice here, but with a crit the effective power of Flamethrower becomes 142, 2 points over the super effective hidden power. Aerodactyl is faster and continues its assault, taking us down. Did we just get absolutely spanked? Wow. I wipe again and again against Lance. At this point, I'm trying to take a bit of damage from the Gyarados so that when Aerodactyl hits me, it brings me into Blaze for more damage and I have the sun up. But that's still not enough. I tried using Fire Blast for the extra power, but decided that the inconsistency from reduced accuracy wouldn't be worth it, as I'm guessing the Champions team will have several key moments where if it doesn't hit, I faint. Here I have a Citrus Berry equipped so that when Aerodactyl hits me for over half, I pop back with enough to survive a second hit. Dragonclaw does nowhere near enough against Dragonite though, and we fall again. Well, it's clear that I need more levels. I take a whiteout against Lance and begin grinding against the Elite Four, wiping repeatedly against Lance. That brings us to this fight at level 81. We can now outspeed Aerodactyl, and with a crit we can knock it out. Huzzah! Oh, and I guess we'll crit against Dragonite as well. I guess if you have incredible luck, this fight is a cakewalk. Both Dragonairs fall, and I feel a little dirty about that victory, but I want to investigate the champion a bit because continuing to level up is, well, boring. In the words of Dosh Doshington, I prefer things that challenge my brain instead of my patience. That Lance victory added another 26 minutes to our time, and it is far from being consistent. I'm happy to see a change of scenery against the champion, though, and test Charmander's mettle. Here we go. I come into the battle against Pidgeot and immediately see that I didn't use an elixir again. Whoops. That's fine though, as I'm not anticipating a victory on the first try. With the sun up, Pidgeot is the same as it has been for the last several rival fights. Rhydon is next, and not only do we not do enough damage against it, but it fires back with an earthquake that there's a snowball's chance in the Sahara that I'll survive. And then it crits to boot. Yeah, no contest. I try a couple more times, and even from full health, Rhydon's Earthquake is still a KO. I try using my last 3 rare candies to come back in at level 85, over the next damage rounding threshold. Pidgeot again goes down. Rhydon comes out, and we take it down with a crit. Nice. I don't think we have the one-shot range against it yet, but with only 3 more levels, this will let me see the Blastoise. Blastoise comes out, and Charmander uses its HP Electric for over half. Blastoise sets up Rain, and oh wow, Blastoise goes down. Okay, I'm getting pretty excited here. Alakazam is next, and Flamethrower's doing less than half, so I switch to Dragonclaw for some reason, but this seems to appease the RNG gods, and it crits. Alakazam falls, 2 to go with 115 HP. Oh, I try setting up the sun, but realizing I have no PP, I instead go for Flamethrower against Exeggutor. Then the rain ends. Oh no, I forgot the rain was still active, and so we don't take it out, allowing it to put Charmander to sleep. It then proceeds to Egg Bomb me into oblivion, as for whatever reason I use Dragonclaw against it. Dragonclaw? Ugh. We take an absolutely heartbreaking reset. After that wipe, I just have to try again. Pidgeot goes the same and out comes Rhydon. We aren't getting the one-shot range, but check it out. Charmander actually tanks an Earthquake and survives with 7 hit points. We capitalize on this opportunity and take down Rhydon. Blastoise comes out and the sun fades, so it takes an easy knockout with Hydro Pump. Darn, we might be here a little longer. Take a guess in the comments as to how many times you think I reset against the champion here. The answer is enough that I went back to grinding the rest of the league. A lot. In this attempt, we're now all the way up to level 91. Rhydon is now a bit more manageable that it seems to want to use Scary Phase more frequently. We still aren't able to get our damage range against it though. Even with the Rhydon going down more consistently now that it seemed to prefer using Scary Phase, the Blastoise outspeeds Charmander when we're at -2 speed. That means that it now sets up Rain and ends us. I have been trying everything to this point, even trying to teach Fire Blast over Flamethrower for the added damage. At this point, a few missed Fire Blasts won't kill my time and resets against this absolute monster. Finally now, entering the fight at level 94, I can one-shot the Rhydon and move on. Against the Blastoise, we see the effects of Sand Attack as Charmander misses the mark repeatedly. I decide finally to set up the Sun as I'm confident that in the rain Blastoise will still one-shot us with Hydro Pump. Seeing the reduced damage that it did, oh yeah, it would have. I finally connect with an HP Electric as Blastoise sets the rain back up. We fire away once more and pow! Blastoise is down! Alakazam comes out and we set the Sun back up. I'd rather play for the one-shot here than risk more missing, which happens on our follow-up Flamethrower as Alakazam takes us down. By this point, I am so frustrated. Just look at that timer. Alright, so there's no way that level 94 isn't enough, so I try again immediately. The first 3 Pokemon fall with ease. I set up the Sun against Alakazam, and yes, it uses Reflect. Charmander is only using Special Attack, so this does nothing, and we take it down with the following Flamethrower. I exact my revenge with a slightly sweet taste in my mouth, with a sun-boosted stab Flamethrower for the one-shot. Not this time, buddy. Arcanine is out, and I'm pretty convinced at this point that Flamethrower is my strongest move. Turns out I'm right as we take it below half, and with that follow-up Dragon Claw, Arcanine falls, and with it the Pokemon League champion. Charmander pulled it off. As the chatter is ignored, let's examine that timer again. We defeated Lance at 2 hours and 35 minutes, and now we're at almost 3 hours and 10 minutes. We started the league at 1 hour and 45 minutes, so of our total time spent on this run, almost half of it was in the league because of, 3 opposing Pokemon? Brutal. But none of that matters as Charmander gets some confetti thrown around it, and Liz clocks in with a time of 3 hours and 9 minutes, with a game time of 9 hours, 12 minutes, and 78 resets. I feel like a lot of potential was wasted in the last hour of the run, so of course, I'm not done yet. As we come into the following playthrough, there are a couple things I'd like to discuss. First off, Charmander's nature. In the initial playthrough, I puzzled quite a bit about which nature would be best. In the end, I chose a neutral nature, Bashful. Every other stat seemed so critical to Charmander that I couldn't risk reducing one. In my testing, what I do is keep an extra save of the game from right before the Elite Four. I then use a save to mess with my Pokemon's moveset, nature, and level, while being able to reach each of the Elite Four members with relative ease. In my follow-up playthrough, because of what I discovered in my testing, I will be using a quiet nature for plus special attack minus speed. Interesting choice, you might think. I discovered in testing that including my badge boosts, I would outspeed key opponents even with a reduction in speed because of Charmander's high level. As a result, we take a juicy 10% boost to our special attack, helping with those ranges at the cost of speed. A quick note on badge boosts, as I haven't mentioned them up until this point. There are 4 badges in the region that boost specific stats upon acquiring them. Brock gives the Boulder badge for attack, Surge the Thunder badge for speed, Koga the Soul badge for defense, and finally Blaine the Volcano badge for the special stats. The badge boost gives a 10% boost to their respective stats, which won't display on your summary screen when you look at your Pokemon. But let's jump into Charmander's first sticking point in the initial run, Brock. In this playthrough, I have defeated, with the exception of Rival 1.5, every single trainer up to this point and every wild encounter that I bumped into. It turns out to be enough in this fight as I get extremely lucky taking Brock down on my first attempt. The next point that Charmander struggled with is Misty. I repeat the same route as in the last run, clearing the SSN and leveling up to 31, gaining access to Flamethrower, this time before the Rival 3 fight. I burn him away and come back to Misty. Misty is very similar to before. We can take out Staryu in one secret power, and yes, this is part of the reason why I couldn't use a minus attack nature. We wiped once before this against Starmie when it got high ranges against us, but this time the Starmie reminds us that we should have equipped a Person Berry. That's reset number 2, but an easy fix. Now that we're properly prepared, the third battle goes to plan. Never doubted it for a second. Now, honestly, there isn't much to talk about for a very long time. Charmander roasts through the mid-game following the same path as before. The only change that I've made is that I'm doing more grinding earlier as we hit areas like Cycling Road and Route 15. No sense backtracking later when I can defeat them now and have less risk in the mid-game. It's an odd feeling cutting out like 50 minutes of footage all at once, but really, nothing interesting happened. We've already seen Charmander charbroil the mid-game. Hey, did you know that steak puns are a rare medium well done? Just ask Pidgeot. So I've brought us back in at Rival 5, which with our additional levels is not that challenging, but it usually marks the point of the game where things start getting difficult again. This time though, getting HP Electric earlier allows us to sweep through his team with ease. Rival 5 is down. We'll jump ahead again to right before Blaine. At this point, I've also cleared Sabrina's gym, the fighting dojo, the ocean routes to the north and east of Cinnabar, and I'm standing in front of my latest casualty in Blaine's gym doing some quick menuing. I made sure earlier to pick up an additional TM28 dig for Charmander so I would have it here. I teach it over return, maximizing my PP usage, and also will soon be getting Dragonclaw, which will take over this move slot. Coming into Blaine, you can now see that after all of my grinding, we're level 65. Here I take out Growlithe and Ponyta with one shot of dig each. I'm not sure if the crit mattered against Ponyta, but c'est la vie. On Rapidash, I make a change going for Sunny Day, as when Arcanine enters the battle, I'll be at -2 attack because of Intimidate, and I want to guarantee a 2-shot against it. Arcanine comes out and we Flamethrower for the win. Giovanni will be a cakewalk, so just know that in between this battle and Rival 6, I defeat every trainer in Giovanni's gym before mashing A against him for the win. We come into Rival 6 now all the way up to level 68. Wowza. We use the same strategy as before against Pidgeot, setting up the Sun. This guarantees one-shots against it and the following Rhyhorn. Against Blastoise, I use a fun trick that I found while testing. Anytime Blastoise sets up Rain Dance, I can immediately cancel it with Sunny Day because we outspeed. Blastoise will always use a damaging water move after setting up the Rain, so we will reduce the damage of that move and prolong the Sun in this fight. Cool, right? We can quickly sweep through his remaining members with, you guessed it, Flamethrower. Now it's league time and I'm feeling incredibly good about Charmander's performance. An hour and 41 minutes after Rival 6 is a solid time comparing it to Bulbasaur and Squirtle, and at this point I only have suffered 8 resets. But spoiler alert, that's not gonna last much longer. After clearing Victory Road and a couple more trainers within, Charmander hits the league doors at level 70. I then use 5 rare candies to increase it to level 75, the point at which Lorelei became fairly consistent in my testing. Alright, level 75, an hour and 50 minutes on the clock, my heartbeat is elevated and we jump into our first league battle. We use the same strategy as before against Lorelei. It's all going to plan. Until I get a friendly reminder that Person Berries win this fight. Okay, reset. Alright, Person Berry equipped, let's get this done. Oh, Dugong crits Surf and knocks us out from full. Okay, well crits are only a 6.25% chance, so that was a fluke. This time we got it. We come back in and everything is going to plan. Until Lapras hits a crit Surf? What is happening? For the sake of time, I'm not going to sit here going through every single wipe that I had against this league. I tested some of these fights 5 to 10 times once I felt I landed a consistent strategy, and now suddenly everything is going differently. The Dugong used Surf maybe 10% of the time in my testing, and now it's using Surf almost every time. Every time it uses Surf and I take that much damage early, it seems to be a guaranteed loss. Absolutely brutal. Charmander just doesn't have the sustain needed to take these hits. My plan here was to grind against the Elite Four, as it's the highest experience density in this region that I have access to right now. The problem is that I'm resetting constantly against Lorelei, so I'm not gaining all that much experience for the time I'm investing. Coming into the league, I was so pumped up and the inconsistency of our Glass Cannon Charmander is really showing. We've leveled up so much throughout the game, and my plan was to grind 4 more levels between 75 and 79 before going into our last league attempt. This didn't end up being the case, as I became too frustrated and used a bunch of my rare candies too early. The original end level goal was 88, which was consistent in my testing. But for whatever reason, it stopped being consistent here, and here's the final attempt. We now come in against Lorelei at level 87. At this point, I've adapted my strategy so that I'm using Dragon Claw to avoid healing ranges. Fortunately, it doesn't go for Surf. We take it down, set up the sun, and take down Cloyster. Lapras is a damage range at this level, but I don't quite get it here, but honestly, the Pokemon I wiped most against is next. Slowbro is also a range to one-shot now. We don't get it, and you get to see just how frustrating this thing can be. It loves setting up Amnesia and using a full restore, then surfing away Charmander. Occasionally it will also yawn and then heal to full. I cannot articulate how frustrating this darn thing has been to me on this run. We fall asleep coming into Jinx, but fortunately we only sleep for a couple of turns and make it through a tract before melting away the, human shape Pokemon? Yeah, that's what the website says. Against Bruno, I'm still making sure to have a Charcoal equipped because he honestly scares me with how much damage each of his Pokemon can do to Charmander. We set up the sun, turn 1, and as long as Onix leaves our speed intact, which it does in this fight, we win. Agatha remains a welcome break from the chaos, ironically enough. With our minus speed nature, her Ace Gengar outsped Charmander for a while, but that's nothing that a quick Chesto Berry couldn't fix. We're doing enough damage and outspeeding everything else, so the worst this Gengar could do to us is a crit Sludge Bomb that poisons. It still wouldn't take us out, though. At this insane level, though, we are outspeeding everything, and Agatha is not an issue. Lance, however, is still a problem, even at level 88 as we're about to see. The Aerodactyl I can one-shot at this level, but it's a very unfavorable range. As you can see by the way we hit it to lower red bar twice, but don't quite knock it out, allowing it to get 2 attacks against us. With such a low health pool remaining, Dragonite takes us down. Yeah, we're not quite done resetting yet. On the next fight, we end up getting the range and take down the fossil Pokemon. This is all that we needed. Dragonite hits like a truck, but without a crit can't kill us. It goes down to 2 Dragon Claws, and the subsequent Dragonairs both fall. Okay, we're back to the champion. Before entering the hallway to the champion, I heal up, use an elixir, and teach Fire Blast over Dragon Claw, so we'll be going into the champion fight with 3 of our 4 moves being the fire type. Oh, Charmander. I used my last rare candy, bringing Charmander to level 90. Disappointing, as with my testing I was hoping to do this under level 90 at 88. Oh well, at this point as I watch the timer continue to climb, I just want Charmander to end this thing with a bang. Believe it or not, this is actually my first attempt against the champion on this run. Lance walled us that hard. But now that we're in it, I set up Sunny Day and take down Pidgeot. Rhydon is the whole reason that I wanted Fire Blast, as even without a crit, I do have a favorable range against it. Blastoise is out, and we do our weather dance like I mentioned before. I like setting the sun back up here for a few reasons. I find Alakazam to be less predictable than Blastoise, and therefore harder to play around. Hydro Pump only has an accuracy of 80%, so it will miss occasionally, and if it does hit, the damage is halved by the sun, so it's dealing less than Psychic would anyway. Win-win-win. Bye Blastoise, thanks for the dance. Alakazam comes out and seals our fate. Not by claiming the KO itself, but by taking us to 21 HP, guaranteeing that Arcanine will extreme speed us. But apparently Exeggutor isn't done messing around with us. It has the ability Chlorophyll, so in the sunlight it outspeeds and takes us out. What is happening with our stats this run, and why wasn't this the case during my testing? I take one more reset here as we miss Fire Blast against the Rhydon and it Earthquakes us without mercy. But in this fight, we do hit our Fire Blast and our accuracy hasn't been reduced by Pidgeot. This is ideal. We do our same back and forth weather dance against Blastoise and it misses Hydro Pump. We take it down with 170 HP remaining and the sun out. Alakazam hits with Psychic, taking Charmander down to 103 health, but it falls to a Flamethrower. Exeggutor misses Hypnosis, which thank goodness for that, because I might have actually cried. Arcanine comes out, and despite its best try, we take it down with 2 Flamethrowers, thematically sealing this run with fire on fire on fire. Charmander has defeated the champion. What a ride playing through these games with Charmander has been. It has so much raw potential but just lacks any ability to take hits or provide alternate strategies to burning everything. I enjoy the Gen 3 remakes of Gen 1 simply because there are more options to play with, though after playing ROM hacks like Radical Red I also feel limited. But enough of that, let's give Charmander its moment of glory. Enjoy your confetti, my dude, you've earned it. Charmander clocks in with a time of 2 hours, 26 minutes, and 54 seconds, with a game time of 7 hours and 55 minutes, with 33 resets at level 90. Honestly, with 25 of those resets being in the league, and around 15 of them being to Lorelei, I cannot begin to tell you about the roller coaster that was this run. Comparing this to Charmander's first run, we have a real-time improvement of 42 minutes and 6 seconds and a game-time improvement of 1 hour and 17 minutes. We took 45 less resets, though this would have been substantially lower had my testing reflected what actually happened in my league challenge. We also finished 4 levels lower, but still at level 90. Charmander has been fun, but lacked diverse strategy and got randomly walled against a few Pokémon. But overall, I would say it was a lot of fun playing through the game with it. Congratulations, Charmander. We've now covered all of the Kanto starters. Squirtle was the most diverse and fun to play by far, whereas both Bulbasaur and Charmander had their respective niches that I couldn't seem to break them out of. After playing all 3 runs with 300 base stat total, special attacking Pokemon, I think I could use a change of pace. I'm thinking about a nice, chunky physical attacker for my next run. Put your guesses in the comments as to who it'll be. As always, if you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much, and please consider leaving a like and a comment letting me know how I'm doing so far. Subscribe and ring the bell if you'd like to see more content like this going forward. I'm quite excited to see what I can do with a more powerful Pokemon in the next video. Onwards! Take care, everyone.